2022. Initially, I was a telephone befriender, which was the other side of the Chatty Cafe. I got to know two lovely people doing weekly befriending calls, which was a lovely introduction to exactly what the Chatty Cafe stands for. And then it got to the summer, and I thought, could I spend that same amount of time each week on a bigger scale and launch a Chatter Natter Table in Brackley, because there wasn't anything like that locally at all. And that's the journey that I've been on for the last sort of 4 months or so. As Abby said, it's gone really well, and I'm super proud of how it's gone. But today is about sharing that background, being honest enough to say some of the things that haven't worked, not just the things that have, because I think that's useful for you guys to know. I don't know it all. I'm not here to pretend that I do, but it has been a big success. And I think on the basis of that, it's good to share. Abby's already shown you this is the sort of 12-week plan. Sorry, I haven't got any super slides today. I'm just going to be holding things up, but this is the 12-week plan, and it is a really good guide. It did give me a great insight into what was needed, and this is my version of that story that I'm going to share with you today. So take from what I cover what works for you. You don't have to do it all. This is simply what I've learned along the way, and pretty much what I wish I'd known at the start. So going back 4 months, if I'd known the experience that I had today, like life, it would have really helped me. So that's the background. As I understand it, we've got a mix on the call of current volunteers, potentially new volunteers, and also some venue owners. So I'll try and keep the relevance to everybody. So there's something in this for everybody. And kicking off, if you have got a pen and paper, and if you are going to write anything down, if you're going to try and memorize anything that I say, the three things that I would really major on, and if you ask Abby, by the way, once this is finished, if you haven't got time to write everything down now, anything I say, if you mention it to Abby, if you want me to contact you to follow up on anything that you hear that will be useful to kind of get a chance to bounce off me some thinking, more than happy to help any of you on the call. So hopefully it's useful to help, but if you need more, don't be afraid to ask afterwards. So there are three, in my head, there are kind of three keys to success in making this work, but they're also going to be your biggest challenges as well. So with success comes challenge. And this is just my experience. So I'm going to cover all of these in more detail, but the first one is, and it's a pledge to you that everybody you speak to in your town, in your village, in your community will love the Chatty Cafe. So getting people to be interested is not difficult. Once you explain what it is and the passion that sits behind it, everybody will want to help you, because you can't do this on your own. So you need to get people on side that want to help you, harness that goodwill, and it will help you to paint the town yellow. So that's number one, and I'll cover a lot more of that in detail. Number two is the challenge is, how do you spread the word to paint your town yellow? How do you get that word spread as far and wide as possible, and get as many people as possible talking about it as quickly as possible? Because that's the challenge within the 12 weeks. What can you do to make people listen and be interested and want to talk about it and tell the friends and tell the relatives in your local community? And then three, and this is the biggest one, how do you get people to take the plunge and come on the day? Because that's the hardest part. Number one feedback I've had is it's really, really hard to cross that threshold to go somewhere on your own that you're not used to doing into the unknown. So what can you do as a host, as a volunteer, or as a venue to make that as comfortable as possible? So I will be covering those in as much detail as I can here with the time that we have. So what did I do? Going back to the start of August, the first and most important thing was to get the right venue partner. It's so crucial to get a venue that is going to work with you and support you, and to give you that help that I just mentioned that you need in the early stages. So I looked at my town that I live in. I looked at the kind of size of venues, the cafes, so what would be appropriate. Accessibility is a massive one. So is it easy for people to get to if they've got some mobility issues? And popularity as well. Do people like it? Is it a place that people like to go in the town? Honestly, truthfully, I went to a couple first, 2 venues, and the problem that I had was that I was meeting nice staff that were ever so supportive, but they weren't the kind of the decision makers. They weren't the people that could say yes. So I had some lovely conversations, left my details, and then didn't hear anything. And it set me back a little bit. And I realized very quickly, the only way this is going to work is you've got to meet the owner, and you've got to get them to understand and get their buy-in and support. Because if you do that, and which I have with Richard and the cafe I'm linked with now, it really, really helps in the long run. Get to know the staff as well, make them care, because it's on the day they're very much helping you to make the event go smoothly when you run a Chatter and Natter Table, and fix the date and the time. So when you're talking to the venue, ask them where their sort of low points are in the week when there's quieter time. So if you're going to run a Chatter and Natter Table, which potentially, if it grows, could become quite a big thing in there, make sure it's something that can be at a fixed time that works for them off peak. So mine is 3 till 5 in the afternoon on a Thursday, and lock it in. Whatever you agree, lock it in, because all the messaging you do locally will come back to that certainty that I know the day and I know the time and I know where it is, and you need that really kind of ingrained in your community for it to work. Ideally, you'll have a venue that will post on social media, that will do Facebook groups and actually promote you positively, which I do get that support. They'll use the posters that we've made, the Chatty Cafe pack that every venue gets to sort of being a new venue. Make sure they're using all of that to the best advantage. And the cafe that I work with, they've even made a new pavement sign now for the lounge cafe, which has a little Chatty Cafe logo. And the owner joins in. He actually comes and sits with the people because he loves a chat as well. so it might sound obvious, but really do take the time to make sure that the venue that you've got is going to support you, because if you get them on side at the start, it makes your life so much easier. So that's the venue. The next thing, as I've already said, you need to get that date and the time locked down. So what I did is, having agreed with the venue when we were going to do it and which day and time, I then gave myself a kind of 2-week window to get promoting before we ran the first Chatter and Natter Table. So lock it in, set it up. It doesn't matter if nobody comes or only one person comes the first time, just get that date in and start promoting it. Now, the busiest or the easiest way to start promoting it is to join Facebook groups, local Facebook groups. I'm in 5 in Brackley. Didn't know that they were there before, but it's the quickest and easiest way to reach people and start building an awareness of what is coming. So I did that for the first 2 weeks. I started then, and I still do now, 2 posts per week. One the day before the event, just to kind of showcase what's coming and get everybody interested, and then one afterwards, which I'll talk more about later. But keep the messaging positive and upbeat. People like successful things, so make them feel that it's something that they really want to come to. And whenever you post, major on who do you know that might benefit. So whatever you're posting, because the Facebook community are the people in the groups, but who do they know? What relative do they have? What friend do they have that might be interested in this? And you'll notice when you do that in the Facebook groups, you'll see sharing happening, you'll see names mentioned, and then you know that it's starting to build. So for me, that was the easiest place to start. However, the tricky bit is, the fact is that most or a good majority of the people that come to my weekly Chatter and Natter Tables don't have social media, they don't have Facebook. So how do you reach them? And this is probably, again, being honest, this is the hardest part, because you've got to do a fair bit of groundwork to get the awareness up, but the rewards come back from it. And for me, I literally got some posters made, which this is a template. I'll hold up to the screen, you can see that. This is a template that Abby has that can be tailored for you. So to get some posters produced, and I had some mini flyers produced, which are just copies of this that I could leave. And they are your kind of your backbone to your campaign. So I literally got some of these printed out.
I'm taking notes. What's up? Oh, sorry. I forgot to mute myself. Sorry.
That's okay. So there was a little bit of cost for these. I printed some, but I got a local printer to actually subsidize it, because it was for a really good cause charity-wise. But the venue might be able to help. You might be able to get your work to help. You might have a printer at home. So however you get them, it's a really good idea, because they can be really sort of prominent in the town. That's the painting the town yellow, if you like. That's where I started. So I literally got rucksack on, and I plodded around the town for sort of 3 or 4 hours one day, and I went to talk to as many people as possible, get as many of these posters distributed and set up as possible. So where did I go? Okay, so here are the most successful places I had with the best reaction. Your town might be different. You might not have all these. You might have things that I haven't even thought of, but here comes the sharing part, because this is the bit that really helped me take off. So the first one to share, so armed with the posters, I went into the local town hall, and I got chatting to the ladies in there who work to support the mayor and the town council. And they were so supportive. They literally gathered round to hear more, because they wanted to know more. One of them had even seen it on the Facebook post a week before, which was a real bonus. And they all got behind it. So all of these posters are in all the town's notice boards now. They have flyers in the window in the town hall. They actually also, there's a local magazine called Town Talk, which goes to about 8,000 homes. It's the posh one that most people read, rather than some of the junky mails that you get. And they put up an article in. I didn't write the article, this was given to me. It's a generic article that Chatty Cafe can have, but it's a really good insight. And again, it put the actual small flyer and the poster reinforcing the 3 till 5 o'clock. This went to 8,000 homes, and whenever anybody comes to a Chatter Natter Table, I always ask, how did you hear about it? And that had a big impact, and there was no cost for that. It was just the support of the town. It was the mayor wanting to help, and God bless him, the mayor actually came to the first table I ran as well. He actually came just to support and just to be there. He forgot to pay for his coffee, which I picked up the tab, but we'll let him off that, because he did want to help me. So that was fabulous. The doctor surgery. So doctor surgeries can be your absolute best friend. I plodded into 2 or 3 doctor surgeries. I left the posters and the flyers, which they put in the community notice boards. But they also introduced me to the link workers that are associated with the doctor surgeries. And one of them actually contacted me. I contacted one, and then the other one rang me. And they can be a really good referral source for potential patients of the surgeries that would benefit from the Chatty Cafe. So really worth your time there. And again, I'll re-stress it. This might sound like a lot of work, and it might sound a bit intimidating, but as soon as you walk in these places, they want to talk to you. They're fascinated by the Chatty Cafe. It inspires them to kind of want to help. And everywhere I'm mentioning, there's no barriers there, there's no difficulties, there's nobody thinking, well, I would want to do that. Everybody responded well. There's a local newspaper journalist from the Northampton Chronicle. She reached out, and she came to one of the Chatter Natter sessions, and she ran an article in the local paper, which is fabulous for profile. Care homes, what a great resource for potential people that might benefit from this. There's one care home that they have some residents that are kind of quite new in, so they're not institutionalized in terms of the needs of the care home. They're still quite sociable, and they still want to go out. So they send a minibus now each week with 2 or 3 residents that absolutely love the freedom to come down and join in. So, really appreciated. And there's some more care homes that I haven't got to yet, but I'm sure I'll be able to replicate that there. Here comes a random one, funeral directors. I wasn't sure whether to go in or not, but I did. And the lady I met has put the poster straight up, which looks really weird with the sort of somber nature of the funeral directors. And you've got this lovely yellow poster there. But they love to talk when someone's had a recent bereavement. What a lovely thing to offer as a help, that there's this lovely community in the town that you can go and join and have a coffee. And I've had 2 or 3 people join that come through that channel there. Supermarkets, you've all got a Tesco, Sainsbury, Asda, whatever. Each member of the bigger stores will have a community staff member. So if you go in, you just ask for them, they've always got someone, and they get right behind it. So I've got posters up in all the supermarkets, and some referrals from some of the staff that particularly the Tesco that's in my town. There's more that I could go into, which time doesn't permit now, but just reeling off a list. Hairdressers, they talk to clients all the time when they love the fact they've got something new to talk to their customers about when they come in to have their hair done. And I've had several people come to Chatty Cafe because the hairdresser said so. The library, really good source for help there. Barbers, and the one that is quite new for me and is hot off the press is other voluntary services. I didn't know about other voluntary services in Brackley until I started doing this. And as an example, there's a scheme called the Ability Bus, which is a free facility in the town which will go and pick people up and bring them down. And they now have agreed to run a Chatty Cafe special on a Thursday, and they pick people up and they take them home, which, as it's dark nights coming in, is really useful for some of the older people. So I'll stress again, you won't do all of these, and the more you can do, the less pressure it puts on you, because all of these facilities I've mentioned are all now promoting the Chatty Cafe, so it's not just down on me. You won't have all of those. You might have some that I haven't thought of. But if there's anything in there you'd like to talk about more, just drop Abby a note, and I'm more than happy to share experience of that. Which leads me to the sort of third main point I wanted to do. It's the most important, really, is on the day. So you've picked your date, you've promoted it positively on Facebook and all the channels that you've got. I've started using yellow balloons on the pavement sign just to kind of flag that it's there, and it looks lovely and bright in the town on a miserable rainy Thursday in Brackley. But the biggest learning of all, and this is the one I really want to stress, and I've said it already, is just how hard it is for some people to get the courage to walk in on their own. Everybody, without exception, has said that, and it's become almost a bit of a joke with people sharing their stories about how they plucked up the courage the first time. Knowing that, I've worked really hard to make sure that I always have the yellow lanyard on. I always stand by the door, so almost like it's your house, to welcome people in. And I post that on the Facebook post. So I always post very clearly that I'm there with a yellow lanyard, and that I'll be by the doors to welcome you, because I've learned that that's that reassurance people need. So really would stress in all of your promotional work, or everything you do on Facebook, just stress that you will be there, and you'll be there by the door, and you will welcome them. There was one lady who's I saw her in the corner of my eye one week, and I was greeting somebody else that come in. I saw her get to the door, and then I saw her leave. And the week after I saw her again, I got her this time, and I just said, "Are you okay?" And she was really shaking. She was really nervous, and the story emerged from her that her husband had died a year ago, and that's where they used to come, this cafe. And she promised him that she wouldn't stop going, but she struggled to get out of the house. So when she saw about the Chatty Cafe, she made the effort to come down. And I said, well, come in for 10 minutes, sit down. If you feel comfortable and enjoy it, great. If you want to go, that's fine as well. And bless her, she came in really shaking, and within 15 minutes, she was a part of the community, and she's been back every week since. And so you will have your own people like that. You'll have people with all the will in the world want to do it, but it's that getting them over the threshold the first time, which is the biggest challenge you'll face. So I get there 10 minutes early. I'd make sure the table's set up how we want it to be. And again, with the staff knowing how Chatty Cafe works and being aware of it and involved in it, it's much better that way if you pre-prime them, so that you know which staff are on, the table's lined up, the signs are there, so people feel comfortable to come in. I maybe have a few ideas for conversations up my sleeve. You might like to do that as well. I was lucky that the first one I rang, the Queen had just died, so God bless her soul, but it was quite an easy conversation starter for that day. I found as it's grown, you don't need it, but it's just useful for those awkward moments. If it goes a little bit quiet, just something just to get the conversation going, that really helps. I have such a simple icebreaker, but it works really well. I bought a roll of stickers to write name badges on, and there's one lady who insists on doing it every week, and get a name badge, and it's just a simple little icebreaker. Oh, you spell John like that, or you spell Jeanette like that, and it really helps people relax. It's I wouldn't have known that would work if I hadn't tried it. So definitely do that if you're, especially as the numbers start to grow, so people remember each other's names, because it's not always easy to do. And also keep an eye on the table. Is anybody left out? When you get a bigger group of people, sometimes people can turn their back because they're chatting. As a host and as a volunteer, I'm just looking around, looking for people that maybe are getting left out, and just involve them in the conversation. We tried last week speed chat, which was hilarious, where halfway through everybody gets up and moves around to talk to somebody different, and everyone got in the spirit of it. But the first time we tried it, people were getting up and walking around and then sitting down with the same people that they'd sat with before. But it's a really fun thing to do, and just gets everybody involved and in the right spirit of it. Take pictures, because there's nothing better than pictures on Facebook to promote your table and show the fun that you have. The only thing to be careful of is just to make sure you get consent from anybody that's there, that you're going to use their images. I've never had anybody say no. Yes, they quite like it, but it's still worth checking. And the best pictures are the real life, when everybody's mingling in, not so much the posing ones where everybody's holding coffee cups up, which I've tried to start with. The ones that really seem to work are the natural poses where everybody's just engaged and chatting and clearly having fun. That's what draws people to it. And don't feel bad really don't feel bad if the numbers are low or 0 or 1 at the start. You shouldn't take it personally. It's got to have time to grow. It's very easy to feel a bit despondent. I had 2 the first one. I thought, God, have I got this wrong? Have I missed something? It just needed time. It grew and grew and grew, and by the week 11 last week, the 11th one, we had 43 people there, which I was really proud of. And my benefit and my reward, and you as volunteers and venue owners as well, is when you step back. I do it every week, just step back from the table and look at all of these people, most of whom didn't know each other a few weeks before, all there chatting. That's where you get your buzz, and that's where you get your absolute pleasure from running these sessions. So I hope that insight's helpful. I hope I haven't scared anybody off. I've covered a lot of ground. In reality, truthfully, now I spend the hour or 2 hours at the Chatty Cafe table. You might do 1 hour Chatter Natter Table. I choose to do 2. 15-20 minutes doing Facebook posts, and I kind of I'd set myself a challenge of trying to just follow up maybe with a hairdresser or just some other source to try and spread the word on the Chatter Natter Table. So a little bit of work to start with, but it becomes easier. And as the host, your role starts to get easier each week as people become regulars and they all look out for each other, and it becomes a proper community hub. So as I say, if there's anything that you want me to follow up on, more than happy to get involved and chat to you or message or whatever. So if you drop a line to Abby, more than happy to expand on any of these things that I've covered today. Thank you, Abby.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Jon. It's really, really helpful just to get that kind of real life on the ground experience and those really helpful tips. So I can't thank you enough. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, Mel's got a hand up. We've got a few minutes left. So very well timed as well, Jon. So yeah, Mel, can I take a question from you?
Firstly, just to say, congratulations and well done. It's amazing to hear the impact you're having and the stories about the particular people who've come along to your chatty table, and particularly that lady you spoke about who had a bereavement, and you managed to catch her before she bottled out for the second time. I think that's awesome. Is there anything that apart from this knowledge, Jon, is there anything else you wish you had to help make the spreading the word bit easier?
I mean, yeah, because I probably made it sound like a very kind of natural flow of things that I covered, because that's the experience of the 3 or 4 months of doing it. I wish I had at the start realized that the quicker you get other people to help you, the better. That's something I learned as I went, because I thought at the start I was so single-minded and determined that I was going to do it. But that was the wrong approach. The right approach is to get as many people, even I forgot to say that actually, referrals. So all of the people that come to the table now, I ask them, who do they know? It's like an old sales technique, but it's a referral thing. Who else do you know that would benefit? And I might bring such and such along. So I think that the main one is that sharing the load, because genuinely, and then it's not easy for us to walk into a town hall or walk into a funeral director, as an example I gave, and just start talking. But genuinely, I promise, everybody responds really well. Within 10 seconds, when they realize you're not selling something and you're just there to talk about a lovely community opportunity, then they respond really well. So I wish I'd done that quicker than I did, but I got there in the end.
That's great. Thank you, Jon. Does anyone else have any other questions? I know we've just got a couple of minutes left, but probably time just to take any others. If anyone has any questions or anything?
Can I ask? Sorry about earlier when I didn't realise my camera was on. Someone came in and asked me a question. Those leaflets you've got, is there any chance you could share that, or yeah, so we've got some idea about what to write on the leaflets, please? Yeah,
I mean, the template is pre-built. It literally just needs, there's a little section that can be personalized for you in the middle, which Abby can help you with. So it's yeah, I mean, the template exists. It's a few minutes work really but I personally think the reason they're not really all yellow and they have like a little band of yellow is because it's quite expensive on the printer if you do it. But I found that they're really prominent, and most notice boards in the town are really dull. You stick this little bright yellow, and I know I'm looking for it, so I'm biased, but they do stand out. And I have had people that have come just because they've seen the posters. And also, just to say on the flyers, I leave a little supply of those at the town hall, at the library, doctor's surgery, so people can deliver them, take them away with them. That's proved quite useful. So the posters are the kind of, you maybe need 10 or 20 of those to kind of put around the town, and then the flyers, I have a little stash of them that I just distribute here and there.
Yeah, Joe, I can send them round to everyone afterwards, like the editable versions that are easy to edit. I'll make a note of that. It's not a problem.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. So it's now just gone 1:30. So for anyone desperate to watch football, if there are anyone on here, unless there's any other questions, I don't know if there are, or should we wrap that up? Yeah. Okay, perfect. So again, thank you so much to Jon and to everyone else for attending, and I'll follow up with those posters on email separately. And any other questions, please reach out to me. Background noise.
Thank you very much.